This call is going to focus on how the drivers are going to use the XRS mobile application on their devices. The first thing I'd like to go through is where we can access some of the knowledge base information regarding today's call. As always, you can access the knowledge base by hovering over Help and then clicking on Knowledge Base. And that'll bring up a pop-up page, which I already have open right here. Now over on the left-hand side in the table of contents, you have a driver resources section. If I expand driver resources, we can start by showing the installation guide. So there's an installation guide here, and we talked a little bit about that, but here's what you can use to guide yourself in installing the XRS application on an Android device, and then there's also the installation guide for Windows Mobile. There's also some driver guides out here. Over here on the left hand side, I can click on driver guides and we'll see the driver handbook for Android and the driver guide for Windows Mobile as well. And then there's also the law enforcement cab card. Now the law enforcement cab card isn't complete yet. There's some parts of the knowledge base that in beta here are not completed, and this is one of them. So eventually there will be a law enforcement cab card out here on the website. What we're going to do next is we're going to go through part of that driver guide for Android. And so I've got the driver guide here. So we're going to go through this briefly and just explain the different sections in this XRS driver guide. Now once again, this is going to be available for anybody to view and download on the XRS website in the knowledge base. This would be a good idea for the drivers to have this in the truck with them. If they have questions on different aspects of what they need to be doing, some questions can be answered by looking in the driver guide here. So the first page it'll go through is just logging into XRS, so launching the XRS application, entering your driver ID and password. And I'm like I said, I'm just briefly going to go through this because I do have another presentation that's going to be a little bit more detailed than this. That'll show kind of the basics of what the drivers will be doing. So once we log in, we get shown our confirmation screen here. When we tap on OK at the confirmation screen, we're now viewing the driver dashboard here in XRS Mobile. And then what the guide does is it goes through the different aspects of the dashboard to start with. So talks about system status, then the hours of service section, messages section, and then the applications, and then talks about the different buttons on the bottom of the phone screen here where it says Android. So the system status, it just goes through and details what these different icons signify here, gives descriptions of each one of them. Next, the hours of service section went through, explains the different sections here and what they signify. The messages section here gives a description of the messages section and then some of the different icons and aspects of the messages section with descriptions to follow. Then it talks about the applications menu on the bottom of the screen there. Different buttons, what they signify. Then here we talk about the actual hours of service button when I touch that here on the bottom of the screen on the apps menu. How to change a log status is went through. How to view your logs on the device. The messages section, so touching messages here. What signifies a new message and then creating a basic message. Then we have the DVIR button, so that's where we do our pre-trip inspections of tractors and trailers and our post-trip inspections, midday inspections, and so on. So it details a little bit more here about the different inspections, and then the certify repair function is mentioned as well. Then lastly, logging out. And then some descriptions given on the settings section of XRS Mobile. Then the help section. The help section is signified here by that question mark, and when the drivers touch that question mark, they'll be given a table of contents which can be expanded out to view different areas of the XRS mobile help. And then lastly, in the driver guide, there's an explanation here of what the buttons mean on the bottom of the phone screen. So your menu buttons, your how to view the options menu, home button, back button, for example. And then there's a section for just the conventional use of XRS mobile. So logging in, put yourself on duty, do your inspection, navigate through the log, do your post-trip inspection, log out. So just the basics, essentially. So they're in this driver guide for whether it's Android or Windows Mobile. And once again, in the help here, if we go to driver resources and driver guides, that's where you can find that information here. Driver handbook for Android, driver guide for Windows Mobile. So next what I'd like to do is I've got a PowerPoint presentation, and so we're going to go through this. Okay, so the first thing I'd like to do is go through kind of a general overview of how the system works and the flow of data. This is what we term the relay. And the relay is that black box that's going to be installed in each one of the trucks. And it's going to be connected to the ECM in the vehicle via a J-bus cable. Now it will collect GPS data on that device, and it also collects engine data. And some examples of some of the engine data collected are going to be things like speed readings, idle time readings, odometer readings, RPMs, and fuel consumed would be a few of them. Now this data is transmitted to the phone via Bluetooth and then transmitted to the website via the cellular network. And the information is transmitted approximately every 5 minutes from the mobile device to the website. Now additionally, the XRS mobile software on the phone communicates via Bluetooth with the route tracker to determine when the vehicle is in motion and when it is stopped, and it adjusts the driver's logs accordingly. Now there's also some company settings that play into that as well, that when you talk about the company settings, you'll go through some of those different motion and stop settings, if you will. And one of the nice parts of the system is that the XRS mobile software, it's able to keep the logs up to date whether or not the phone is in cell coverage based on this connection to the route tracker. So if a driver were to go out of coverage, the hours of service files will be stored on that mobile device until a cell connection can be made, and then those files are sent to update the website. So the flow of data as follows will be from the vehicle, from the ECM to the relay, from the relay via Bluetooth to the mobile device, and then from that mobile device to the website via the cellular network. So let's talk a little bit about these main screen status indicators at the top of the screen right here. The first icon is the network connection. So are we in cell coverage or are we not? The second icon right here is the Bluetooth icon. So are we connected via Bluetooth to that relay from the mobile device here? The third icon is the GPS icon. So are we connected, are we in GPS coverage? If it's black, yes. Red, no. Then we have the ECM icon. Indicates that the device recognizes that the relay is connected to the ECM and gathering engine data. The download icon indicates that an update is being downloaded to the device. Then we have the settings icon. The help icon is next, so you can access the XRS mobile help. And then you also have this hide icon, so you can expand or contract that banner up here, if you will. And then there's an alert message. So right here you can see where it says pre-trip DVIR required. For example, once we do the pre-trip, it'll say post-trip DVIR required. So those are what the icons signify up there in the kind of green banner. Okay, so that relay will be installed in the vehicle. The device is going to be turned on and powered with the XRS application running at all times. The driver needs to log in at the beginning of each trip and then log out at the end of each trip. Now each driver is going to be provided with a driver ID, and at the beginning of each trip the driver must log in with his or her driver ID and also their password. So they'll enter in their driver ID as shown in the first illustration here, and their password, and then they'll tap on login. Then it'll go to the driver name confirmation screen where I confirm that's me who's logging in, and then I tap OK. It'll go through a few configuration screens, and then it'll land here on the XRS driver dashboard. After we get logged in, we're going to need to change our status. Now you can see on the dashboard here, across the top of the screen, we're going to have an area that's going to show our drive time left, then we have our on-duty time left, and then our current status. And depending on how you have your company settings configured, depends on what that current status will be. I have my company settings configured in this illustration for that when the driver logs in, they will be placed off duty. So before I do my pre-trip inspection, I have to be on duty. So to change to on duty, I'm just going to tap where it says off here by duty status, and then it brings me to this change duty status screen. To change the duty status, I just simply touch on the status that I want to change to. It'll highlight it, as you can see in the third illustration, that it's updating the status. And then I'm going to have to hit the back button on the bottom of the phone screen to take me back to the driver dashboard here. Now to do my pre-trip inspection, I'm going to tap on the DVIR button here. Then I can touch Inspect Vehicle/Trailer from the DVIR menu. And then I'm going to be presented with, in this illustration, two different options: to do the pre-trip of my vehicle or the pre-trip of my trailer. Now if you have done a previous inspection, the vehicle that you did that previous inspection on will be listed here. So potentially you'll probably see three options right here. So you'll see that previous vehicle that you did the inspection on. So now what's going to happen here is we're going to hit pre-trip new vehicle. Then the mobile device is going to start scanning for all available relays. And it's going to find all the available relays, and then what the driver needs to do is simply touch the vehicle that they're going to be in at that time. So we touch the vehicle, and then it asks us to confirm the previous inspection. So if there's a previous inspection here, we can go through and review what those potential defects were that were listed on the previous inspection. And once we get done with that, we go ahead and tap on confirm. Now once we tap on confirm, it brings us to the pre-defect screen, where now I can physically get out of the vehicle and do my physical inspection. And if I find any defective items, all I do is I simply place a check in the box next to them. Once I'm done with the inspection, I go ahead and tap on accept. So whether I find defective items or I don't, I'm going to have to tap on accept. Now if I find and note that there is something defective, I'm going to get asked this next question: is the vehicle safe to operate? And I'll have to answer that accordingly. Next here it goes to the certification screen. So now I certify that inspection by tapping on accept. After I tap on accept, I'm going to be asked to leave a comment. Now there is a configurable setting on the website under the company settings that you can make the drivers leave a comment for a defect, or they don't have to. It isn't required. So that's a configurable setting. So here I would type in the comment that I wanted to leave using the keypad and tap on OK. And then it takes me back to the driver dashboard. Now typically then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to repeat that process, and I'm going to do a trailer inspection. A trailer ID is required on the driver's log on the website. So the only way that we can get that trailer ID to show up on the log on the website is to do that pre-trip inspection of the trailer. So for that reason, they should go through after they're done doing the inspection of the tractor and do that inspection of the trailer and repeat those same steps. So now we're ready to drive. And now we enter what we call auto duty status. And what that means is that the log is automatically going to switch from drive to on duty and on duty to drive based on motion information from the truck combined with your company settings. So your company settings will dictate the period of time that it'll take for the device to switch from drive to duty and duty to drive. Now you can always manually change your duty status by just touching the current status. So if I wanted to switch from on duty to drive, all I have to do is touch ON up here, and then we'll be brought to the duty status change screen, and we can tap whatever status we want to move to and then tap the back button. Now here the drive time left is going to show your remaining drive time for the trip. Your on duty time is going to be displayed, your current status, and then also down below the on duty time left you're going to see your weekly remaining time right here. So during the trip, when I'm talking about this banner, I'm talking about this area right up here. That green banner right here means that the vehicle is not in motion, we're stopped. Once we start driving the truck, that banner changes to white. So when we're in motion, that white or that banner changes to white. And then if you ever go into violation, you'll see that banner turn red. Now in the middle of the screen here, there will be a notification if the driver receives a message, and there'll also be notifications for things such as if the driver goes into violation or if they're running low on drive time. Those are a couple examples of some things that you would see a notification for. Now at the end of the day, much like at the beginning of the day we had to do our pre-trip inspection, at the end of the day you need to do your post-trip inspections. Now post-trip inspections must be completed on the tractor before the driver logs out. However, that is a configurable setting, so you can change your company settings so that the driver can log out before they or without doing a post-trip inspection. In my example, I have that set so that a post-trip inspection has to be completed before the driver can log out. Now, previous inspection defects will be remembered. So if a defect has been corrected since the last inspection, you would need to uncheck that defect. So to initiate that post-trip inspection process from the driver dashboard, I tap on DVIR, then I tap on Inspect Vehicle Trailer. I'm going to see all the inspections that I need to complete are going to be the ones that say post-trip in front of them. So typically what I should see is I should see a post-trip for a vehicle and a post-trip for the trailer. In this illustration right here, we just did the pre-trip of the vehicle, so all we see is a post-trip available for the vehicle. So I would tap on that vehicle that I want to do the post-trip on, and then I take them to the post-defect screen. And this is where I said, if we have done a pre-trip inspection and we noted any defects, they're still going to be listed as defects right here. So if any of those have been corrected since the last inspection, then we need to uncheck those defects. And once we're done with the inspection, we go ahead and tap Accept. Now we're also going to be asked if we want to leave a comment here, much like we were asked at the beginning of the trip. So we can enter our comment in and tap OK. And then we get to the driver certification screen. This is where I accept that inspection, so I go ahead and tap on Accept. And then we're taken to the logout screen. So this now is where the driver can log out. So I tap Driver Logout. I'm prompted with the screen. If I want to leave a remark, I can by using the keypad here. But I'll just go ahead and tap on OK without leaving a remark. Then I'm going to be asked to certify that all those log entries are true and correct. And I can go ahead and tap on Accept. I'm going to be asked the question, would you like to enter a remark? Yes or no? And then it'll go through that logout process and take me right back to the login screen. So that's the process of post-tripping and logging out. Okay, so the driver should be able to navigate their logs on the device. Now keep in mind that the instructions, system certification are also provided for an inspector in that driver's handbook and those law enforcement cab cards. And those should be in the truck with the drivers at all times. To access the logs, I'm going to tap on HOS down here on the driver dashboard, and now we can see the log screen here. Now at the very top, you see an arrow pointing to the left and an arrow pointing to the right. And that's how I navigate back and forth between days. When I'm viewing the log graph on the device, I can just scroll left and right with my fingers as a touchscreen on the Android. And there'll also be a driver info section down here, daily total, and then you can view your previous 8 days. And then the remarks are going to be listed down below here. And with the Android device, I can scroll up and down and view the different remarks. And once again, I can scroll left and right to view the different hours on my log graph. Okay, the hours of service menu, when I'm on the log screen right here, I can touch the options button on the bottom of the phone to access the options menu, and then I can touch options here from the HOS log screen, and then we see the different things that are available on the hours of service menu. So I can view my daily summary, enter a remark, select the work time extension, enter shipping info, and I could do a fuel purchase. Now in this example right here, we select view daily summary, and this is what the daily summary is going to look like. So it shows the driver's name, what fleet they're a member of, any manifest numbers that the driver entered in throughout the course of the day, what vehicle they're in, any trailers that were entered in, and then their distance that they traveled. Now to get out of this screen, I would touch the back button. And keep touching the back button until you get back to the driver dashboard. Now also from the hours of service menu, there's work time extensions, so you can extend your shift by selecting the work time extensions. There's the 16-hour big day, there's adverse weather as a work time extension, and then there's personal conveyance. So to access that, I'd go to menu, go to options here. To access work time extensions, you can see where it says work time extensions, and this is what the menu is going to look like right here. So 16-hour big day, adverse weather, and declare personal conveyance. So those are the 3 different work time extensions. Now also on the hours of service menu, and in the first illustration, it just shows how to get there again. But from the hours of service menu, you can create a remark on the log. Now the phone is going to provide a standard list of remarks that you can select from. So here from the hours of service menu, if I touched enter remark, I'm going to see that standard list of remarks. Now if there's a remark that I'd like to leave on the log that is not in this list, I can go ahead and tap free input here, and then I'll be able to enter in text on the next screen in a text box. Okay, in this illustration right here, we selected break, and then I'm asked to confirm that remark here on the next screen. So I just tap on confirm here. So that's how you add a remark to the log. Next here, manifest numbers. One of the requirements of a driver log is a shipping document number, as it is termed in the regulations 395.8 and 395.15. So it is suggested, recommended that your drivers enter in at least a shipping number on the mobile device to satisfy that requirement. So once again, touch menu, go to options, and from the hours of service menu, I can tap on enter shipping info. And then I get the 3 options here. I can enter a manifest number, route number, or a shipper and commodity. In this example, we're going to go ahead and tap enter manifest number, and then we're going to be presented with the manifest number screen. And I can just use the keypad right here and enter in a manifest number. Now one thing that you can do is if let's say I need to enter in another one. Without exiting here, I can just tap add new. It will open up another manifest number field, and I can add another manifest number. So one of the good things here about XRS Mobile is we can enter in multiple manifest numbers without having to go through the whole process again. It's a little bit better than it was in Turnpike for those coming over from Turnpike. And once I'm done, I just go ahead and tap on OK here. Messaging. The Messages application can be accessed by touching Messages at the bottom of the dashboard. So right here you can see that there's kind of a little red circle, and that just signifies that you have a message here that you haven't looked at yet. So if I tap Messages right here, then I can touch the message that I want to view. There's only one message right here. And then it'll show the message detail on the next screen. And I can reply to that message right here, or I can delete it. Depends on some of the company settings in terms of you can send a message that requires a reply. So it just depends on how you sent that message, how the sender did. This is just what it's going to look like on the mobile device if you don't have any new messages. Okay, and if I wanted to send a message, I would touch this plus sign up here. And then I would be prompted to either send a new basic message or a forms message. So we will go ahead and tap new basic message, and then what the driver can do is enter in that message using the keypad at the bottom of the screen. So you can see we just typed in test here, and then we tap on send. And then we get confirmation here that the message has been sent successfully. Pretty easy to send a basic message in. So just to kind of recap, each driver/vehicle should be equipped with the driver's handbook and the law enforcement cab card. That handbook will contain the instructions on how to use the system. And it also contains specific information that an inspector may require if the driver is stopped. So you want to ensure that that handbook is in the vehicle with you at all times. So like I said, both the driver handbook and the law enforcement cab card. Thanks for watching this call with the XRS mobile usage.